Alexandria Webb. I'm a plus size alternative model and I tightlace, and this series, if you've never seen any of it before, I explain my experiences as a plus size tightlacer, and today's episode is going to be about getting back to basics and how to start tightlasing. So you've watched a few of my videos now and you think, actually I quite like the idea of tightlasing and I really want to start it, but she's never actually explained where I start or how I go about that. Well, the first thing you really need to do is get yourself a decent corset. Personally, I would always recommend made to measure because it is the... Personally, I would always recommend made to measure because honestly it's the best fit you're going to get, it's the most comfortable you're going to get, and really if you're going to be wearing something for 12 hours a day or longer, then you're going to want something really comfortable. I know some people have had varying degrees of success with some off the rack brands, but whatever works for you. However, with off the rack, eventually, regardless of whether you start off with the right measurements, eventually after a while you're going to find that you're going to need to go custom anyway, because with off the rack they make everything smaller with each size down, whereas bodies don't really work like that. My waist is getting smaller, the rest of me not so much, especially you're eventually going to hit a point where you can't get any more reduction from your ribs or your hips. For me, I got the ribs first, but my hips are starting to get to a point where I can't get any more reduction from them. But there's still plenty of waist there that can be trained down. Really, you're gonna hit a point where you're gonna need custom anyway. So if you can, then I'd always say go custom from the start, but to each their own on that one. One thing you really need to look out for is to make sure that the corset you're using is made for waist training. There are a lot of cheap ones sold online that say they're made for waist training or tightlasing, but they're not. They're using some kind of herringbone cotton fabric, and they will claim it's herringbone coutil, but it's not. It's too soft. Coutil is it's incredibly strong fabric, and you need it in a tightlasing corset, otherwise the bones are just going to pop straight through. You can sometimes get away without it in fashion corsets because they're not really intended to be pulled, really tight. But with something you tightlace in, you don't want your bones popping out because they're going to hurt you and it's not going to be fun. And you could potentially injure yourself and it's really not good. It's not best practice at all. So you want something with coutil in it. Another thing you're going to need to look at is laces. Personally, when I started out I could use ribbon, but I've got to a point now where it just snaps. As you no doubt saw the week I wore the overbust, I do have ribbon on the back of that, but I don't tightlace with that one. That one's just very lightly laced. This one here I laced with paracord with the centres taken out, which was a tip given to me on the Tightlacing Society Facebook group. I think it was Alice Lafferty mentioned that. And it's been a great tip actually because it goes forever. It's really strong stuff actually. Something I would say is also my personal preference is to train in an underbust because it just if you're doing a lot of lacing in with overbust, it just increases the potential to end up with smoosh boobs. And that could be a bit of a pain, and also it's easier to stealth in an underbust. It's easier to move around in general in an underbust. Overbusts are pretty and gorgeous and I love them and I want more of them, but they're for parties, I kind of feel. They're not really for every day. But again, your mileage may vary. You may really like overbusts, you may really like a slight feeling of restriction. It's up to you. This is just my experience. Another thing to factor in is what shape you want to go for. Now originally I thought I was going for kind of the ice cream cone kind of shape, which is, how do I do this? Which is sort of like a sort of that and then back out again. Which is what all of my corsets are at the moment. Now I'm starting to veer more towards a cupped rib kind of silhouette, which is where obviously it cups underneath the ribs. So it has that extra little bit of curve, kind of like a pipe stem, but maybe not as wide as a pipe stem. Although you never know, I might sort of veer towards pipe stems eventually. Obviously if you're first starting out, you might not know what you fancy. So maybe try starting out in an ice cream cone kind of thing, because usually it is probably the best shape to start off in, I find anyway. And then as you go on, think, maybe I'll try this. One thing to note is though, not everybody can manage every shape. This isn't an aesthetic thing, this is a where do your ribs end thing. Some of the pipe stem variations you just can't do if there isn't enough space between your bottom rib and the top of your hip bones. I'm kind of hoping that there is enough space on me to at least do a bit of a nice cupped rib, but we shall see. I will get back to you on that. Always important, are you going to be in an environment where you can wear a corset? If you have an incredibly active job, like say, I don't know, you're a personal trainer or something, then it's going to be very hard to wear a corset for you all day. It's probably, I actually probably don't think it's a good idea to corset train if your job is a personal trainer. Well, maybe you could like wear it when you're not working, but you certainly shouldn't really wear it when you are working, because as I said in the previous video, when you're wearing a corset, your core isn't engaged. Plus the other thing is, if you're doing a lot of bending, you're gonna cause damage to the bones, and really that's not good for you or the corset. If you have, I don't know how to put it, a sort of relatively normal day, say you work in an office or you work in a shop, or you're maybe a teacher or something like that, then you should be okay to wear a corset. And I've never really had a problem. So except from bending, maybe sometimes I will forget that I'm wearing a corset because my corsets are so damn comfy, and I will go and bend and I'll be like, ah. But you know, you don't need to avoid bending completely. Instead of maybe doing the flop over like, you know, most people do, what you should do is instead bend from the knees, sort of kind of like a squat kind of thing, and pick stuff up that way. However, in some of these jobs, it's maybe going to be a bit better to stealth, because like some places have dress codes, and you totally shouldn't apply the dress code. If you're not sure on something, maybe ask your boss, but you should be okay to stealth usually. Obviously you get something a bit cleaner than this, wear your regular work clothes over the top, wear your corset as underwear. As long as you have like something underneath it to protect your skin, then you should be good to go. Obviously, I don't have any differences in how I eat. Some people do. Again, that's something you're really gonna have to find out through trial and error. I think that really about covers it for beginners tips. If there is something I missed, comment down below, let me know. Or if you have a question, again, comment down below and let me know, because for the last part of this series, which is next week, I'm thinking about doing a question and answer video. So if you have any questions, let me know down below. If I don't get enough questions back, I'll probably do something else. Haven't decided what yet. But the following week, I'm going to start a new series, which again is corset related, because I like talking about corsets. They're a big part of my life. And that one will be about corset myths, and will be presented in slightly more of a comic way than this one. I think that's about it for this week, although I have just realised that I've not actually introduced this corset. This one, again, Forever Black underbust. This one is an Edgar Allan Poe cameo underbust. Bustless, again, like the one I had on last week, and I managed to put it on myself, and I didn't need help from anyone except my door handle. Yeah. You've already seen the back. These aren't the laces it came with. I put these laces in myself. Yeah, it's kind of cool. I love me some Edgar Allan Poe. Although, actually, funny story, only one person has ever guessed that this was Edgar Allan Poe. I get a lot of really strange guesses when I go out wearing this. I have twice now been asked if I'm wearing a corset with Hitler on it, which you don't really see. Like, maybe the moustache kind of, but they don't really think Edgar Allan Poe looks like Hitler. And also, even weirder, someone once asked me when I was on a night out if it was Lemmy. Yes, Lemmy from Motorhead. Nope, don't see that at all. However, a few years ago, my partner Kev, he interviewed Eric and Oscar from Hachiko. I hope I pronounced that right. And Eric asked and he guessed. He's the only person to have ever guessed it was Edgar Allan Poe. Everybody else is wrong. Which is stupid because it's a really damn famous picture of Edgar Allan Poe. It's not like it's an unrecognisable one. Anyhow, I'm going to stop ranting about Edgar Allan Poe and I'm going to finish this video. If you enjoyed this video and you've not seen the rest of the series, they're all in a playlist which I'll link over here. Instead of over here, which was totally distracting last week. I will get there with these annotations eventually. Every Monday and every Thursday I upload a video. On Mondays the corset related videos. Currently I am doing this series plus size tightlacing. And on Thursdays I do an off-topic video which is just on something I enjoy. And I will see you all next week. Goodbye.